Hi, this is Gilles, the radio prepper. This week I would like to apply a concept I've been working on for some time and that you might have seen in some of my other videos. It is the tin can or cargo pants HF radio station. Now, before I start, I would like to thank Stefan from Germany who sent me a palm paddles. And I used to have palm paddles, but unfortunately they ended up who knows where with my sailboat, so I lost them. The same way I lost my Elecraft K1 actually. One of my, actually my very favorite radio. But here's one advice that I'm going to give you. And if you plan on getting a kit that you really like or some item that you really want, do it now, because I did the same thing for my K1. I lost my K1. I thought I would buy another one, and I waited. And thought, I'll just buy one later. There was no later because Elecraft discontinued the K1. And now Palm Radio, the company that makes the Palm paddles, just closed down. So there's no way to buy anymore, except used, of course, but you have to find one. So if you want something really bad, don't wait before you get it if you can, because it might not be there. The palm paddles are excellent. They're small, light, well-built, German engineering, and they can actually fold back into the case for transport, so you can transport them easily and safely. Great for my tin can radio station. Now, this concept of the tin can HF station is for bugging out. And bugging out might be the worst possible situation you may find yourself in an SHTF situation. It's something you just don't want to do. But if you have to, you'll have to count every ounce of gear you carry with you. Hence the need for a station that is very, very small and very light. Everything needs to fit in the tin can or in your pocket. I prefer to use a tin can like this one because it is also a Faraday cage and protects your radio against electromagnetic pulses. And this is fairly easy to transport, doesn't weigh much. I want to fit the radio, the batteries, the key, the coax, the earphones and the antenna all in this little box. I do have a video on this, by the way, so you can go check it out, but now I need to take this little tin can, go on a walk, on a hike, and set up a station somewhere, and that's what we're going to do. But first we need to make, I need to make a very tiny antenna using the 49-to-1 transformer. It's going to be an unfed half wave. I'm going to use this 3M dual lock here to attach the paddles to the radio, so just like this on the side, and the other one will go right here. As I have done before, I twisted my magnet wire here about a few inches, maybe 5 or 6 inches, and I'm going to thread it through this toroid core. It's an FT 140-43, and I'm going to make 3 turns. So this is 1 turn. It's 1 turn every time it goes through the center of the core. So 1 turn, go inside, and 3 turns. This will be connected to ground and this to the center of the coax. So now I have 3 turns. I need 21 total, so I need to add 18 more turns to get to 21. So 4, 5, That's it, 21 turns total, 3 turns primary plus 18, 21. So it's a 7-to-1 ratio, 7 squared 49, so it's a 49-to-1 transformer. Now I have to add this capacitor here. This is a 100 picofarad 3000 volts capacitor. It's not that much voltage, but for QRP levels it should be enough, and I'll have to solder this between the ground connection here and the center coax connection. I'm thinking of using this adapter here, this BNC adapter, and it doesn't look that great, but it is kind of small, so I could of course solder the coax directly to the magnet wire, but I'm not sure that's the best way. Maybe I could use this BNC connector here and with some kind of support, and I could maybe glue this on top of it, and that would work quite well. This might work with a bit of epoxy to hold it together. It doesn't look that great, but I think it might be my ticket. I'll try it that way. I can always change it later. So I put the capacitor in there, and I'm going to solder the ground connection first. I insulated the legs of the capacitor as a precaution. My vision is diminishing. It's just so frustrating. I can still see quite well at a distance, but up close, not so much. This is what I decided to do. I made a U-shaped piece of cardboard here with the toroid inside, the plug and the BNC connector and the antenna connector here. I added a lug, and I'm going to fill it with epoxy, and it will make a solid block, and that's what I'm counting on, and I hope it works well. We'll see. It's finished. Well, it's full, it's hardening now. If you wonder if I should have tested it before putting it in epoxy, the answer is a resounding yes. But yeah, I think it's the fourth one I built, so I'm not worried too much about it. When this is all hardened, I will remove the cardboard with sandpaper probably and sand it down to the minimum size. Almost finished. I spared you the sanding and I got it to a very nice shape here. You can actually see the toroid through the resin, and I actually hit the copper here. Didn't go too far, fortunately. I put a little eyelet here for hanging it, and this is the antenna output, of course, the antenna contact, and the BNC here. It isn't straight, but you know, it works. And now I'm going to paint it. And here's the finished product. Pretty nice, very solid. And I don't think I could have made it any smaller, really. It's not great looking, I have to say, but it should work perfectly. And yeah, it's small, that's all I wanted. Alright, so here's the tin can, everything in it. A whole HF station. Let's have a look. So I could only fit a fairly short coax cable, and I think it's about, well, maybe it's slightly more than a foot. It's about 50 centimeters. So maybe a foot and a half. And that's not very long. I have to test that and see if it's going to be sufficient. Because of course the shield of the coax cable can act as a counterpoise, but this is a half-wave antenna, so it really shouldn't be a problem. I have my just finished and fed 49-to-1 transformer. I have a half-wave wire, this one for 30 meters. I could have removed the winder and make it a little smaller, and maybe I'll do that. I have 8 AA cells. I could also use a smaller LiPo pack. This is fairly big. I mean, I've used packs that were about half this size. Earphones. I have the palm paddle. And here the cable for the palm paddles. And last but not least, the Weber MTR tri-band CW, so Morse code only radio. Horrendous weather this weekend, so I don't know how I'm going to test this, guys. This is my hometown, by the way. Comines, C-O-M-I-N-E-S. So we just hiked about half an hour, so it's not very far, but we have a picnic table here, and I actually do have my station in my cargo pants pocket, so let's see that, and I'll show you the content. Oh, little speaker. I could have brought my earphones, but that will work better for the video. The key from Palm Paddles, the Weber MTR radio, oh, antenna wire, my just finished 49-to-1 transformer, coax cable, and a battery pack. Usually I would just throw a wire in a tree, but for this video we're going to use my Spider Beam 12-meter mast. Well, it looks like the SWR is too high, so I'm not quite sure why. Maybe the wire isn't the correct length. I don't know. So I'm going to have to use my tuner, which I actually brought with me. So what I brought also is this cutting board here, onto which I glued a 18650 battery adapter, and my Weber MTR is attached with the same 3M dual lock stuff. So what I'm going to do now is to install the palm paddles, and well, I have to I have to get it out first. Let's check the battery. .3, perfect. These paddles work really well and no resistance whatsoever. Italy. Very faint. Oh, it's fading. it's so faint. Only one very faint contact with Italy, which is pretty good. I only tried for about 45 minutes because it was so cold and I hate the cold. So, but I was heard. You can see here on the reverse beacon network that my calls were detected on all three bands, 20, 30 and 40 meters. So I know the antenna system does work fine. I actually suspect this antenna analyzer here to be broken, well, not working anymore. After I attempted to calibrate it, and I think I messed it up. Because last time when I tried it with my 8010P antenna, it gave me also a like 4.5 to 1 SWR, when actually it was very low, like 1.2, 1.3 to 1. So I think this is done for. The goal of this video was to show that you can actually have an HF, shortwave radio station with you for bugging out without taking up too much space and weight. Is it going to be the best radio system for prepping? Certainly not, but it's better than nothing. And HF is a very important part of radio communications. You get regional and global ranges that way, something you won't get with VHF and UHF handhelds. The Weber MTR is an excellent radio for that purpose. I have the 3B model. It has 20, 30 and 40 meters. It's tiny, it outputs 5 watts, you can record messages, and it only sips maybe 30 milliamps on receive, which is absolutely amazing. Now, it doesn't have the 80 meter band, and I really wish I had the MTR 4B, which has 20, 30, 40 and 80 meters. 80 meters is the regional telephone, and you do need it for prepping, especially if you're in the upper half of the northern hemisphere or the lower half of the southern hemisphere. Otherwise, if you're closer to the equator, I'm losing my English. If you're closer to the equator, then you can use 40 meters. And when I was in Florida, I used 40 meters for NVIS, Near Vertical Incidence Skywave. Here in the north of France, I have to use 80 meters. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry, no exotic locations. It's the north of France and winter is coming, so it's going to be more indoor activities now, although I will definitely try to make it outside as often as possible. And I'm hoping even to have a winter camp, camping kind of, survival prepping camp for a couple of days, but we'll see how that goes, if I can get other people to come with me. Alright guys, I found the problem and it's really not good, and it's my fault. I did something very stupid. I noticed on the video that I had cut the little loop on the ground side of the BNC connector just to introduce the little ring here for the BNC connection, but I think I didn't solder it back on. So the way I can test this, of course, is to first check if the ground side is connected to the center, and it should be, and it works. Everything should be connected in here because it's all DC connected, basically. Everything is connected together, so the ground here should be connected to the antenna connector, and it's not. The center is. Actually, it's not. So nothing is connected to the antenna connector, which means that I made a contact with Italy using a coax cable laying on the ground. Well, there might have been some coupling, of course, between the loops here, the turns of the antenna connection, and the 3 turns between center and ground, but not much at all. And I must have been radiating very little power. That was so dumb. Now, the only thing I can do to fix this is to grind this side here and reach the place where, well, I forgot to connect my second wire and resolder it, but this is not going to be fun. Until next time, have a good one.